Okay, it's going to be a WWE PPV Rewind for 2017. Finally got through watching some of the shows that I missed from last year, so now's the time to do the rewind. And going to start the video like this. Going to do the top 10 matches of the year first. In the description, I'll put 20, but I'm going to talk about 10. Okay, so number 10, I'm going to go with the SmackDown Elimination Chamber. This is the one that Bray Wyatt won to win the WWE Championship, and he faced Randy Orton at WrestleMania. So, you know, in this match, you had The Miz, you had Baron Corbin, you had Bray Wyatt, you had AJ Styles, you had John Cena, you had Dean Ambrose. I would say that AJ Styles and John Cena carried this match. They started this match together, and you know, to see Cena get eliminated was kind of shocking because Cena came into this match as WWE Champion. You figure Cena wins the belt at the Rumble, you would at least have him defend the title at WrestleMania, but that didn't happen because John Cena ended up proposing at WrestleMania. So this is kind of like a wasted WrestleMania for John Cena. You know, disappointing to see AJ Styles not retain here. But Bray Wyatt winning, it came off good. Like I said, the chamber was really good. Doesn't have a lot of replay value though. I enjoyed this a lot more the first time I saw it. There's a lot of guys in this match I didn't care for. I'm not a big fan of The Miz. Definitely not a big fan of Bray Wyatt. You know, Baron Corbin, you know, I really thought he was overpushed this year. You know, they spent way too much time making Baron Corbin look strong after he got eliminated. I thought that brought the match down. But bottom line is, AJ Styles and John Cena just had amazing chemistry as their program went on. And this is like icing on the cake to their feud. I thought they looked great. But, you know, great back and forth stuff between Bray Wyatt and AJ Styles to end this chamber match. I thought the, you know, Sister Abigail victory came off great. You know, this is... you know, even though I'm not a big Bray Wyatt fan, it was kind of hard to ignore his struggle and climb to the top of the WWE Championship. You know, he put it in about 5 years. And, you know, to see him finally get to the WWE Championship, you know, it was admirable to see him get to that spot. But just in retrospect, I think they made the wrong decision. And so we just move on from there. Good Elimination Chamber match. I just don't think it's going to age that well over time. Number 9, I'm going to go with the New Day versus the Usos from Battleground. Great match, man. The New Day and Usos saved Battleground from being a complete disaster. One of the reasons why I was a little bit more generous about this pay-per-view was you did kick off the show with a great match between these two teams. You remember that springboard, you know, super kick. That was a crazy spot right there. Just hot crowd. The New Day and the Usos just, you know, definitely probably the most surprising program of the year. They definitely saved and they definitely carried a lot of, you know, pay-per-views on the undercard. So definitely great stuff there between those great teams. Number 8, I'm going to go with AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. title from Backlash. Surprisingly, this ended up being the best match of their series. You know, you would think that the first match would be more of a feeling out process. You know, the AJ Styles and Kevin Owens program, I would say it was quite disappointing in retrospect. I just think with Styles and Owens, you know, the top 2 MVP candidates, probably the two guys on the roster you most look forward to seeing all year. You would think that their feud would have, you know, exceeded expectations. There was just a lot of booking issues and a lot of, you know, I thought their match at Battleground was really disappointing. And then the SummerSlam match, you had that whole thing with Shane McMahon. So looking back on it, the Backlash match was pretty spectacular. I mean, they got this is the most time that they got. The finish was pretty creative too, with AJ getting his knee stuck in the, you know, crevice of the table. That was a pretty creative finish to keep the program going. There was a fisherman's buster off the top rope. Just good spots here, man. This is definitely the best work I think Styles and Owens did together from their feud. And they even did the surprise house show title change. So they had a good feud during the summertime. You know, I just thought some of the... you know, the matches later on in the feud could have been a lot better, but definitely AJ Styles and Owens at Backlash, I'll probably say the highlight of the feud. Number 7, I'm going to go with the men's, now you got to say the men's Royal Rumble or the men's Money in the Bank match, like the men's basketball team. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match from Money in the Bank. This actually got the main event. This is the one that Baron Corbin won. So you have Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and Sami Zayn. Great Money in the Bank match. Definitely delivered. Definitely saved Money in the Bank from being a Sunday Night SmackDown type of feel. The most memorable thing about the match, you saw AJ Styles and Nakamura go at it. You saw what amazing chemistry they could have if Nakamura's in the ring with someone that, knows his style, that understands his style. Owens and Zayn, once again, they always bring it in ladder matches, and, Ziggler looked great. Baron Corbin winning this match was a surprise. It was definitely a buzzkill moment there. Kind of have mixed feelings on Corbin. He's had his ups and downs. I think it really depends on where they are around the country. I mean, there are certain places like Brooklyn where the crowd just doesn't give, two craps about Corbin. And, but then there's other places where I thought he really got good heat. And sometimes it's kind of tough to differentiate, like, what type of heat he's getting. Is it the type of heat where people just don't want to see you? Or is it the type of heat where people hate you because they really hate you? They're paying to see you, because they hate you. It's sometimes it really is tough to decipher that. But, I thought it was, given the Money in the Bank to Corbin, it was unpredictable. I'll give you that. But at the same time, I don't think he was quite ready to enter the title scene. And that's fine. I don't think the Money in the Bank winner needs to win the championship every year. I think winning the belt with the Money in the Bank, being a cheap shot artist or being the ultimate opportunist, I think there's a lot of those situations. I don't think the fans really buy into it. And it kind of, negates the point of even giving the guy the title. I think if you really want to, put the guy over and create a new star, a lot of times the guy has to win the title like a man so the fans can believe in it. So I was really happy that Corbin didn't win the belt. I think they need to do more of that. The Money in the Bank is a fun match. It's a fun pay-per-view. People are always going to be interested in it. So it's good to have it without the winner always becoming WWE Championship in some type of crappy or cheap fashion. So there we go with that. I put that at number 7. Number 6, I'm going to go with AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon from WrestleMania. This opened up the show. Now, there was a lot of mixed feelings on AJ Styles' opponent at WrestleMania. A lot of people didn't think Shane McMahon was worthy, but I was happy with it because I like Shane McMahon. I'm a big fan of Shane. I always think he delivers. I think he's a good wrestler for what he is, and I think he works his ass off. I think he, it's obvious that he goes out of his way to, put his body on the line and make these matches work. And to me, this really delivered. I thought this is one of the best WrestleMania openers of all time. I have no problem if you're saying this is the match of the night. I thought you got a little bit of everything. They started off the match with some good chain wrestling, some good technical expertise between both guys, and then the spots came. You had the Van Terminator spots, you had the table spots, you had just a lot of creativity with the phenomenal forearm. Shane kicking out of the Styles Clash. I thought it was fine. I just didn't like the fact that this was the opener because AJ Styles. This is the match you're looking forward to the most from a lot of the smart marks. The match you're looking forward to, you want to kind of save that for the middle of the show or towards the end of the show to have one of the best matches open up the show. I just think it's unnecessary. I don't understand this booking philosophy, but it is what it is. I thought WrestleMania got off to a great start with AJ and Shane and then Jericho and Owens. I thought, you gave us the two, better matches of the night first. So you could say WrestleMania started off with a bang, so that's a positive. So there we go with that. Number 5, I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman versus Samoa Joe. At SummerSlam, you had 1,000 pounds of mass in this ring, and fatal 4-way right here. Better than expected. Was not excited about this at all. I think we've seen too many fatal 4-ways, fatal 5-ways, too many multi-man matches on pay-per-view, but this really worked though. This was exciting. The whole Brock leaving WWE to go to the UFC thing, a lot of people bought into it. You saw a lot of, you saw kind of a shades of WrestleMania 20 with, Brock Lesnar being, stretchered out of the ring and Brock heard the na goodbye chants because I think a lot of people thought he was really leaving. But I think Brock shocked a lot of people when he came back and actually was victorious in this match by pinning Roman Reigns. The booking was great. They really They structured this match very well without it dragging. You just got spot after spot that hit you like a million pounds here, man. It just really rocked the house. I really thought this saved SummerSlam as well. It saved SummerSlam from being one of the worst SummerSlams of all time. So give those four guys credit. Usually I'm not a big fan of big man matches, but they really made this work. Some people were kind of critical of Joe's performance in this match. They think he might have been hiding up an injury, but I really didn't notice it. It wasn't too noticeable, and I just thought you had some great combinations here. And once Brock got back into the match, I thought the atmosphere and the intensity really picked up a notch. Number 4, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins versus Triple H from WrestleMania. I still like this match. I still thought this was the match of the night from WrestleMania. There's some mixed feelings on it. I think even Stone Cold and I think it was Dave Meltzer, they kind of crapped in this match too. So a lot of people have mixed feelings on this, and I understand it. The crowd was not very into it. It's methodical. But I'm a big fan of Triple H wrestling, on occasion, and I think it makes the matches more special. He's keeping himself in great shape. I think he looks even better now than when he was, having that brutal world title reign. I think I like Triple H's matches right now when he's wrestling a very occasional schedule. And I thought Rollins looked great here. The reason I like the match so well is because I really believed into the knee injury. Rollins is coming back from a devastating knee injury, basically blowing out his whole knee. And, we're seeing kind of a Derrick Rose-like climb back to the top for Rollins, where it's been a struggle. Before WrestleMania, he got hurt again. So you kind of find yourself really rooting for Rollins not to fall into that pitfall of someone that's constantly trying to, get back to that spot, but keeps on declining because of injury. So I don't know. I just really believed into a lot of the selling here. I thought the selling was great. I thought the spot with Steph at the end came off great. I don't know, man. I like this match. I know some people say they weren't a fan of the match. Some guy even said that he wasn't a fan of the star rating. So I understand the mixed feelings, but to me, I thought this was match of the night. I'm a big fan of Rollins, and the Triple H working this part-time schedule, it really works for me, so I'll put that at number 4. In my opinion, I still think the match of the night from WrestleMania, but I could understand it if you didn't think it was anything that special, because the crowd was kind of dead. Let's face it, Rollins isn't he wasn't like extremely over in this match, and Triple H kind of had a mixed, there was mixed emotions about him as well. So there we go with that. Yeah, I mean, you would think the crowd would have been more into it now that you're seeing Triple H only wrestle 1 or 2 times a year. So I'll give you that. Number 3, I'm going to go with the New Day versus the Usos from Hell in a Cell. Awesome Hell in a Cell match. Rocked the house. I thought this was the match of the night from Hell in a Cell. It's just a great blow off to this feud right here. Both teams are feuding throughout the whole year, and they earned a lot of respect from each other. You saw a lot of tension between these two teams on the mic. You saw some. I think you even heard some battle raps between them leading up to this match. But yeah, just great stuff. Brutal, innovative stuff with the kendo stick when they kind of. What happened? They actually locked one of the guys. I think the New Day locked one of the Usos up with the kendo stick. That was cool. There was a handcuff spot. Just everything really worked well here. You just unlike any of the Hell in a Cells you've ever seen. Definitely one of the first times you've seen a tag team match in the Hell in a Cell. I think maybe the only other time was the McMahons versus DX in a handicap match that we've seen a tag team Hell in a Cell match. But yeah, man, just an awesome way to end this. Really good feud between the New Day and the Usos right there. Number 2, I'm going to go with AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar from Survivor Series. Really great story here. Unexpected. I think everyone thought it was going to be Brock versus Jinder Mahal. That's the match they were promoting at first Survivor Series. But, I think the main reason, there's a lot of reasons why they changed it. I think they finally realized, we got to start giving fans what they want to see. Brock versus Jinder obviously wasn't going to be a great match. It probably had to be a squash match if they were even going to do that. Brock selling for Jinder would have been extremely awkward to watch. Also if you notice, Survivor Series was actually promoted on pay-per-view. It wasn't just a WWE Network show. I have DirecTV, so there was actually advertisements to order Survivor Series on pay-per-view, which never happens with DirecTV. DirecTV hasn't held a WWE pay-per-view since WrestleMania 30, I believe. So it's been a long time since DirecTV actually promoted one, but this is the first time that they've done it. And I just think they wanted to stack Survivor Series as much as they could to get those extra buy rates. So that's why they probably, stacked the main event as well. So, but AJ and Brock, I thought the storytelling was great. AJ really playing the Rocky role here, really an underdog. And, the transition to see Styles actually get some offense on Brock, I thought was very well done. The calf crusher with Brock selling, I thought that was great. The match could have been more explosive. They could have done more. Offensively, this could have been a lot more action packed. I'll give you that. But, they were able to have a great match without going into overkill mode. And, that ending was sick with Brock countering the phenomenal forearm into the F5. I thought that was an amazing counter right there. And, match definitely delivered. It definitely had a refreshing feel. I'd love to see a rematch at WrestleMania. This is a WrestleMania type match and a match you never thought you would see. If you asked me in 2004, 2005, is AJ ever going to face Brock? You probably say no, because Brock left. You probably say Brock would never have come back at that point. And you never really thought AJ was going to make it outside of TNA or outside of Ring of Honor. So I'll put that at number 2, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. And at number 1, I'm going to go with John Cena versus AJ Styles from the Royal Rumble. No surprise there. Let me make this point now before I forget. If you remember, the Royal Rumble was at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. 50,000 people. Now, maybe this is one of the reasons why they gave Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton the WWE Championship spot at WrestleMania. Maybe they thought it would be unfair to have two guys wrestle at the Alamo Dome and then WrestleMania, because maybe there was some type of, maybe they were going to spread out the bonuses a little bit different there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it would be unfair for Cena and Styles to get, a bonus from the revenue at the Alamo Dome and then at WrestleMania. So this way you kind of spread the wealth. Like Cena and Styles get a chance to, get the biggest percentage of the profits from the Rumble, and then Randy Orton gets his fair shot at WrestleMania. So that's a crappy way of looking at it, but I'm sure money had something to do with Orton getting that spot. So, all the money isn't, saved for John Cena. This way Cena takes a lesser role at WrestleMania. Maybe they looked at Rumble being like a mini WrestleMania. So that's just one way to look at that. Cena and Styles, though, kind of a boring choice for match of the year. And I don't like giving a match like this match of the year, because this is more of a 2016 match. A lot of people thought Cena and Styles from SummerSlam was the match of the year for 2016. So obviously you got to give it to him for 2017. There's really not a lot of competition, and it was the third match of their feud. So it's a match that you had already seen last year. But give them credit, though. This is the best match of their program. Their chemistry got a lot better. Cena pulled off some moves that he normally doesn't do here. I thought Cena looked great in this match. He brought his A game here. The near falls were really roller coaster ride worthy here. Just amazing stuff off the top rope with the attitude adjustment. AJ kicking out of that. Great counters with the, STFU. You could go on and on about this match. The match really delivered. Definitely the most crisp and the most well-structured John Cena versus AJ Styles match. And I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about the Cena and Styles chemistry when you look back at their first match at Money in the Bank 2016. I thought it was kind of awkward with Cena doing all that talking. But when we get to Royal Rumble, you got to say, AJ Styles and John Cena, this is one of Cena's best opponents. And I definitely put Cena and Styles from the Rumble. It's definitely a top 10 John Cena match. So there we go with that. So that's the top 10 matches of the year. Cena versus Styles, Royal Rumble. Really not a lot of competition. I don't think anything really came close. If I were to, give a runner-up, I go with AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar, just because of how refreshing. And I just thought that told a great story. So there we go with that. All right, let me see. What am I going to talk about next here? Man, really not much left. Let me save the pay-per-views for last. All right, let's go with the top 10 MVP candidates. Had a tough time with this list right here. At number 10, I have a four-way tie. And let me decide who I'm going to pick. I'm actually going to go with Jericho at number 10, but it really is a toss-up. You could have put four different guys in this spots. Jericho, I got to put Cena in here because Cena had the match of the year. So let's give Cena like an honorable mention. Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. All right, let me start with Orton. I'll give Orton an honorable mention here because Orton did win the Royal Rumble. Got to give him credit there. But besides that, I mean, I just thought it was a really underwhelming year for Orton. Both feuds with Bray Wyatt and Rusev, he just had crappy opponents. But to me, Orton is just kind of checked out. He's just very generic babyface. Orton winning the Rumble was unpredictable. Like I wouldn't have expected Orton to win, especially at this stage of his career. So it was a good move in terms of predictability. You always want an unpredictable winner for the Rumble, but it just wasn't one of those programs that got you excited for WrestleMania. But I'll talk more about Orton and Wyatt a little bit later. And Orton's stuff with Jinder Mahal was crappy too. He just had some bad opponents, but I don't think Orton really brought the best out of those opponents, to be honest with you. But, Orton did win the Royal Rumble, so I'll give him an honorable mention. Brock Lesnar, positives and negatives about Brock. So Brock did have a great match with AJ Styles. I thought he, got a good match out of Goldberg at WrestleMania for, a Goldberg match. So give him credit there. I thought he looked great in the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam. He carried the WWE Championship the whole year, and he has defended the belt a lot. I mean, it doesn't really feel like Brock is a part-timer in terms of seeing the title defended on pay-per-view. But bottom line is Brock has been in a lot of underwhelming matches. Let's face it, the Goldberg match was kind of short. The Joe match was really short and disappointing. The Strowman match was disappointing. I mean, his matches for the most part, since he had that awesome 2014 into 2015, I just think Brock's been in a slump since like SummerSlam. What was it? SummerSlam 2000. Ever since the Undertaker feud kind of ended, I just think Brock hasn't been as spectacular as he used to be, and so there we go. You could argue that Brock should be an MVP candidate because he is main eventing pay-per-views, he is the champion, but to me it's just I've just kind of had my fill of Brock as champion, and honestly I just like to see him move on and go out with a bang, and maybe it's just time to hang it up because I'm just kind of tired of this Brock Lesnar lazy type of formula. Like I said, John Cena had the match of the year, but other than that, I thought Cena kind of struggled this year. The match with Corbin at SummerSlam, it was just kind of depressing to see Cena get that type of nonchalant reaction at SummerSlam, and he definitely looked like he was aging certain parts of the year. He kind of had that weird haircut, and just a lot of Cena matches just didn't have the energy that he had in the past. But, I mean, you got to mention the guy. He had the match of the year, so I got to put him as an honorable mention here. Jericho, I thought Jericho had an awesome year for while he was in the WWE. The program with Owens was incredible. The catchphrases really caught on. There's multiple catchphrases. The stupid idiot, you just made the list, just to name a few of them. This is definitely the most over Jericho's been since like maybe he was a babyface in 2001. So definitely, and I thought the matches that Jericho had with Owens were really cool too. And then Jericho kind of stole some buzz from the WWE by having the match with Kenny Omega in New Japan. I saw the Omega match. I give it about 4.25. They had it up on YouTube the same day that Wrestle Kingdom aired. And Jericho and Omega, Jericho's personality was great in that match. He really, from a character standpoint, I thought he was great. I thought him and Omega had an awesome match. I thought it delivered to expectations. I just wouldn't say it was a 5-star match or anything like that. I thought maybe it was too much with the weapons and too much with the, foreign objects. But I'll give you the match definitely delivered. I just wouldn't say it was 5 stars or anything like that. I don't know why Meltzer gave it the full 5, but give them credit. Definitely delivered. It definitely took some buzz away from the WWE. And Triple H, man, they asked Triple H about the Jericho match with Omega, and instead of just being a dick about it, just look at it like it's going to help the business. I don't know, like the way they asked Triple H about it and his reaction. I don't know, man. It just came off to me like Triple H kind of seemed a little bit jealous about it, but it is what it is. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So I'll put Jericho at number 10. Number 9, I'm going to go with Samoa Joe. Joe had a good summertime. Definitely the program with Brock leading up to it. Just some great stuff on the mic. He won that Fatal 5-Way. He had that great promo with Paul Heyman. Joe definitely captured a lot of buzz during the summertime. And, the match with Brock, I thought it was great while it lasted, but, it's just, Joe's just, he's just getting up there, man. It's been 14, 15 years since Joe versus Punk 2, or since Joe dominated at the Ted Petty Invitational. So that's a lot of time that went by since Joe was in his prime. But, he's still a good wrestler. He could still generate some buzz. The fans were really into, Joe going up against Brock. And, I thought it was the most important match in years. Did it end up being what we envisioned? No, but, I'm still a big fan of Samoa Joe. Number 8, I'm going to go with Sheamus and Cesaro. It's good stuff, man. I definitely think both guys have helped each other out. Both guys struggled as singles guys. I'm not a big fan of Sheamus, but him tagging up with Cesaro, I think it hides some of their weaknesses, and together they've really become quite a brand together. I really love their entrance. They've had some really good matches with the Hardys, the program with Rollins and Ambrose. I thought they had some killer tag matches at SummerSlam and then at No Mercy with Cesaro losing his teeth. So they had some wars together, man. So I'll put Sheamus and Cesaro at number 8. Number 7, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. There's enough people killing the guy, so I don't want to say too much about him. But, he did main event WrestleMania against The Undertaker, which was a crappy WrestleMania main event. But, The Undertaker is... he had hip surgery, he got a hip replacement, and like you saw with Isaiah Thomas in the NBA, the hip injury and, to even a greater extent, the hip replacement is a very difficult thing to come back from. So I don't want to kill Reigns for another bad WrestleMania main event, but I don't know, man. I just think the guy, he's not over enough. Well, you could make the point he's over enough, but he's just not the type of guy that I want to see main event WrestleMania 3 times in a row, maybe be 4 times in a row if he wins the Elimination Chamber this Sunday. But Reigns is all right, man. He could have good matches if he's in the ring with someone decent, but I wasn't a big fan. I'm just not a big fan of his style. I thought the match he had with Cena, it was a fun match to watch, but, I just thought the mix of styles kind of made for a boring and predictable combination there. But, give Reigns credit. He was involved in a lot of main events this year. He had some good opponents to work with. So, he's definitely the face of the WWE. When you think of Raw right now, you think of Roman Reigns. Not a huge fan of the guy. I don't feel the same way that I feel about Cena. With Cena, you understood why he was so heavily promoted, but with Reigns, I just don't think the guy has a great look. I don't think the women are as crazy about him as everyone else believes that they are. I think the mic skills definitely need to pick up a little bit, but I think a lot of the higher ups just they just see the Cena philosophy as a winning philosophy, and Roman Reigns is the choice, and they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep they're going to keep moving with it as long as they can. So it is what it is. Number 6, I'm going to go with Braun Strowman. You just got to I'll just give Strowman credit here. He really got over, his, the sound effect that they used before his entrance really works. He's definitely had his moments this year. He's had some really, really good moments. And, the fans started really getting behind him. He worked really well with Brock, I thought. The match with Brock was kind of disappointing, but I thought he worked well with Brock, in spots, with segments and with certain moments on Raw, or during certain points in the multi-man matches. So, just stuff away from the ring. I thought Strowman really thrived this year. You got to give the performer credit, because he kind of has an outdated look. Big men really aren't in right now in sports and in wrestling. It's really not so you got to give guys like Strowman credit, for him to be able to, be this heavily promoted and this heavily pushed in a day where kind of, being big and bulky and huge kind of works against you. He definitely made a lot of money this year and definitely had a successful year. So you give him credit. Number 5, I'm going to go with the New Day. At number 4, I'm going to go with the Usos. Got to put those teams up there. Just had amazing matches. The New Day has amazing chemistry. This is the best year that the Usos have had. They've just been really, really great on the tag team scene. They anytime you put them in the ring with anybody, they could give you some great athletic, exciting. They've been getting the crowds invested in their matches. So give the Usos credit as well. Awesome year for both of those teams. Number 3, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, the Architect. Rollins had there's going to be mixed feelings about Rollins. There really is. And it's a very, very, very distant third. But, the highlight of Rollins' career so far was beating Triple H at WrestleMania with the pedigree. He actually beat Samoa Joe the very next month. So he definitely started getting on a roll. Then they kind of de-pushed Rollins a little bit. And then, but you got to give Rollins credit for, reforming the Shield. He was kind of like the mastermind of reforming the Shield. Really connected well with the fans too. I really thought Rollins did a good job of, getting the Shield and the fans to forgive him, that he kind of, changed his ways and he regrets being a prick in the past. I thought you had some really good emotion and promos from Rollins. Now in the ring, not quite what he used to be, but the level of decline isn't as bad as it could be. But let's face it, Rollins isn't at the apex of his career like he was when he won the title at WrestleMania 31. He was in amazing shape at that time. It sucks that Rollins got injured that year. I think one of the problems with the WWE, you got guys like Rollins still recovering from injury. You have Finn Balor still, trying to find his rhythm from injury. But in my opinion, this has been a good year for Rollins. I think he's definitely working a lot smarter now. He can't use his athleticism like he used to, but the guy is still, to me, he's still one of the best wrestlers on the roster. So I'll put him at number 3. Number 2, got to go with Kevin Owens. And I said that Owens was the MVP back in September when he did that segment with Vince McMahon, where he took Vince McMahon out. So Owens has been involved in, the best feuds of the year, definitely cut the best promos of the year. He's been amazing. Owens in the WWE has worked out extremely well so far. And the great thing about Owens to me is the guy eats, sleeps, and breathes wrestling. The guy cares. The guy loves the WWE. He's obsessed with this character. That's the reason I love him right there, because he's a throwback to Bret Hart and Stone Cold, where he's obsessed with his character 24/7, which is, he doesn't see the WWE like it's a job. So I love Kevin Owens. So why is Kevin Owens? Why did he drop to number 2 for me? I think he got hurt in that Hell in a Cell when he took that bump. I really think he, had some back issues. I just wasn't a huge fan of the way they booked him and Sami Zayn. They didn't have them at Survivor Series in a match. And I just wasn't a fan of the booking of the match with as far as the match quality, the tag match that they had at Clash of Champions. It's nothing against Owens though. It's just AJ just had such an amazing end to the year. So I'm going to go with AJ Styles number 1. AJ just really, since SummerSlam, he really just had some great opponents to work with. And a lot of it was just by injury or illness. You had Roman Reigns and Finn Balor get sick, so that opened up the spot to do a dream match. Let's just do it. Sometimes when When injury happens, sometimes when there's chaos, it just creates the time to actually go out and deliver. And that's what happened with Styles and Balor at TLC. Then things opened up and they rewarded Styles for putting over Balor by giving him the title. He defeated Jinder Mahal. By the way, AJ gave Jinder Mahal the best matches that he had all year. And then, AJ and Brock just had a really awesome dream match at Survivor Series. So yeah, man, I got to go with AJ Styles. Arguably had the match of the night with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, had the match of the year with John Cena, carried the Elimination Chamber, had a good feud with Kevin Owens. I thought those matches could have been better, but they were still better than a lot of anything you got all year. So definitely AJ Styles. He could just make anybody look good. He's definitely at the top of his game. And like I say, man, it's just amazing that, he is where he is right now. You would never thought AJ Styles was going to leave TNA. You thought he was always going to be, the poster boy for TNA. That was like the one guy that you never thought was going anywhere. But, things happen. Daniel Bryan retires. CM Punk leaves. The guy that's kind of reaping the benefit of Punk and all those indie guys knocking down the door in WWE. Right now is AJ Styles, who's the man right now. Looks like he will be in the, I would say that AJ Styles is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania against Shinsuke Nakamura. Definitely can't wait for that. And, AJ Styles MVP, second year in a row. You could argue that 2017 was just as good as 2016, and AJ Styles has the best, AJ Styles and Cena have a lot to be proud of because you could argue that they had the best match in the WWE 2 years in a row. There's really not a lot of people that can say that. I don't even know if anybody could say that. I'd have to go back and look. I think maybe Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect would be the only two, but that wasn't 2 years in a row. That was 91 and 93, but that's a different story. All right, so let me wind this video down. Just have a couple of fun things here to go over. Most underrated match of the year, I would give it to Jericho and Owens from WrestleMania. The feud of the year, it's a toss-up. I would go with Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Really is a toss-up between those two. I probably have to go with Owens and Shane, though. I thought the Hell in a Cell match, it was a little bit long, but it was kind of unlike any Hell in a Cell you've ever seen. I really love what they did at the top of the cell. They really did a lot up on the top of the cell, had everyone on the edge of their seat. The match had some great bumps. I really think that Owens bump on the table, it didn't look good. I think he's definitely having some back trouble because of that. Shane, doing the dive off the top of the cell, Sami Zayn making the save. I love the fact that Owens and Zayn are together. I think it's something that Sami desperately needed for his career. So definitely there. Owens and Jericho, I thought that could have went a little bit longer. It only lasted until like Payback. Then I thought maybe they could have had a blow off at SummerSlam, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Jericho kind of made a return to SmackDown for a triple threat match, but I thought they could have got more out of the Owens and Jericho stuff. And I really wasn't happy with the placement on the cards for a lot of those matches. They should have main evented at least one pay-per-view. And to me, I thought Owens and Jericho should have been the title match at WrestleMania, but that's another story because of, Goldberg. Moment of the year, Sami Zayn siding with Owens. I definitely put that up there. Owens turns on Jericho with the wheel of friendship, or the whatever you call that highlight reel, the some type of thing with the friendship when Jericho, what was it? Owens actually gave Jericho a new list. And it was called the Book of Owens, or the List of Owens. And then Jericho was actually on the list, and Owens turns on Jericho. Really good stuff. Kind of reminiscent of, Jericho turning on Michaels, a decade earlier. So that was great stuff. But, I have to say that the moment of the year for me was, the Hardy Boys returning at WrestleMania. I thought that was a great decision. I just thought, it was kind of the WWE keeping an ear to the streets here. You kind of heard the deletion chants at the Hall of Fame. You saw the Hardys really stole the show at the Ring of Honor, at the Supercard of Honor show. I didn't see that show yet, but from what I've heard, they really, had an amazing match with the Young Bucks there. So, Yeah, man, the Hardys coming back with Matt Hardy with his new persona. I think this is just a big fan of this new Matt Hardy character, but we really only saw just a taste of it this year. But I think this year, Matt Hardy's really gonna. Now that Jeff is kind of out of the picture, I think Matt Hardy's really gonna, show what he can do with this new persona. So I'm really excited about this. So yeah, I would definitely say the Hardys kind of, made WrestleMania a lot better by entering in that match. The promo of the year, I gotta say, it's that Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe segment. I can't remember if Strowman was out there too, but when Joe came out and was talking to Brock, I just thought you had some really good heated tension between Brock and Joe. And, Joe's mic skills throughout the whole summer were great. The promo with Heyman, that's another one that you could put up there too. But I particularly like the dialogue between Brock and Joe. And this just proves that Brock can cut great promos if he's got someone that can really get under his skin. And that's what Joe did there. So if you guys remember that, go back and check that out. Most disappointing feud of the year, definitely Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Like that House of Horrors match was dreadful to watch. Like I said in that Payback review, I just think the business is too exposed to do, that type of match. Maybe that would have worked with The Undertaker back in 1994 or something back in 1987. That might have worked way back in the day, but yeah, the match didn't deliver. The storyline was very cartoonish for me. I just think at this stage, wrestling should be more of the priority. Not a huge fan of Bray Wyatt. Just don't really care about him. Randy Orton, once again, disappoints at WrestleMania yet again. You saw a lot of people booing and giving a thumbs down when Orton won the match with an RKO. Match disappointing. Feud wasn't anything special. I just don't know why they went with it. Like I said, the only reason I could think of is because maybe they thought it would be unfair for AJ and Cena to get more of the profits because they had already wrestled in the title match at the Royal Rumble, which, drew about 50,000 people, the Royal Rumble was kind of like a WrestleMania type crowd. And most disappointing match, I'm going to go with Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar from Great Balls of Fire. I would say that's the most disappointing match of the year. The match was good while it lasted. I know there's some people that are, they say they don't mind seeing Brock in these short matches. The match was entertaining, but to me, if you've seen Samoa Joe's history and if you sat through the title reign and you saw how much it would take to put Joe away, it just wasn't believable to me. Joe staying down from one F5, it just was not a believable finish. And I just really hated how the whole Strowman Roman Reigns ambulance segment, took up so much time before this match. I just felt like it took away from the heat of, the anticipation and the hype for Joe versus Lesnar. And I just thought it was extremely rushed. While it lasted, I thought it was great, but it's just something I just don't believe in. I don't believe that Joe would stay down from one F5, and just to me, it was just another lazy Lesnar match. And I would have fought really hard with the higher ups if I had a chance to just make sure this match gets a lot of time and gets a chance to be more creative. But I guess I just don't have a lot of plans for Samoa Joe. I mean, he is past his prime. Joe's never going to be what he was back at Ted Petty 2004 when guy was untouchable in the ring. He was that good. Okay, some of the negatives of the year. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I just thought the cruiserweight division, I just think it's a big mistake. The 205 Live just creates oversaturation. Guys like Austin Aries and Neville, I thought it put him in this box, and it's giving the WWE an excuse to push bigger guys now, which is Vince always gets the hard on for big grizzly bear looking guys like Braun Strowman or Rusev or whatever the case may be. But, just not a big fan of the cruiserweight division. I just think it puts talented, really underrated workers like Akira Tozawa, and all those guys. It just puts them in this box that makes people not want to care about them. So I the Cruiserweight Classic was cool. It was cool to see Zack Sabre Jr. and all those dudes wrestle in that tournament. But God, man, the Cruiserweight division, I give it a D- or an F so far. I just haven't been a fan of it. I just wish they would do away with it. I just think the the cruiserweights worked in the 90s in WCW because the heavyweight division was dominated by, guys like Hulk Hogan, Big Show, Lex Luger, guys like that, and Nash, Goldberg, guys like that. And nowadays you got AJ Styles as the WWE champion, a glorified cruiserweight X division guy. So to me, man, it just doesn't work nowadays. And, the world title picture should be open to everybody right now. I think the brand only pay-per-views have somewhat sucked, and I'd be really open for the pay-per-views to go back to dual brand. I know that people have mixed opinions about that, but God, the pay-per-views were way too long and way too boring to do SmackDown or Raw only pay-per-views. To me, it just didn't work. The Divas, I didn't talk about any women this year, and I think the quality of the Divas and the women really went down this year. If you were to ask me what was the best women's match on pay-per-view, it's crazy to think about it, but maybe Charlotte versus Bayley from the Rumble, or maybe Alexa Bliss versus Bayley from Payback. And I don't think either of those matches even hit like the 3.5-star level. So there was definitely a decline in the women's wrestling quality here. To me, and I'm not a big fan of a lot of the women. To me, the only woman that I really, now this is what they should do at WrestleMania. I think Sasha Banks and Asuka, that's by far the best match you could put on for the women. Those are two great women's wrestlers. I think really that's the only way to go if you want a quality type of women's match. I'm not, Bayley's kind of struggled since coming from NXT. And, I'm not a big fan of Charlotte Flair. Alexa Bliss is great. I'm sure a lot of guys would love to have sex with her. I really think she has a great look. She's really marketable, but let's face it, I wouldn't say she's a great wrestler. Too many multi-man matches, not enough one-on-one matches. I just think we've seen so many of these guys face each other. There's so much TV time to kill, and you've seen these one-on-one matches so many times that, you're just seeing too many multi-man matches on pay-per-views. We're getting another Fatal 5-Way at Fastlane, which that really frustrates me because I really think Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, that would have made for such an amazing triple threat match, but we're not going to get that. You're going to get another Fatal 5-Way. We had the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam. We had Elimination Chambers. We had Money in the Banks. You had, what other matches have you had? You had the Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules. So you just have so many of them, and to me, they're just hard to get excited for. I see why they do them. There's always a stipulation where if the winner wins, he gets the number one contender shot or he beats the Money in the Bank. But to me, I'm just a big fan of one-on-one matches. But you could argue that it makes WrestleMania seem better because that's the pay-per-view. You could finally get to see one-on-one matches. But bottom line is there's just been a lot of clutter in the main events. And I like to see more quality one-on-one matches with guys you actually want to see wrestle. All right, so let me end the video like this. Pay-per-view quality. To me, the pay-per-view quality was really bad this year. I thought we've had some of the worst pay-per-views in a long time. These brought back memories of when SmackDown was doing the brand-only pay-per-views back in 2004, where you had that really bad run of SmackDown pay-per-views, like Great American Bash 04. Remember No Way Out 05 was pretty bad. So, worst pay-per-view of the year, I got to go with Battleground. You remember that Punjabi prison match with Jinder Mahal really sucked. The Jinder Mahal experience, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I'm glad that they gave him the opportunity. I think he's an interesting character, but the bottom line is I just don't think Jinder Mahal was really ready for that primetime spot. But they sacrificed match quality and main event pay-per-view quality to get this guy over, and hopefully he gets a lot better, but to me, he's kind of like a generic WWE developmental style wrestler, and it just didn't equate to matches that people want to see. And, I think that the fan base in India, I don't think it really works like that for, that Indian fan base. I didn't think they wanted to see an Indian champion shoved down their throats. I think the people that are going to, subscribe or watch the WWE are going to watch it, based on the guy's ability, not just because he's Indian. Now, on the opposite side of it, I do think that if you were able to market a black champion that appealed to the hip hop demographic, I do think you could get, the black fan base more interested in the product. Because I think one of the problems with the WWE is I don't think it really ingratiates itself into that younger, newer hip hop demographic right now. So that's one way you could look at it. But to have an Indian champion that's going to appeal to more people in India to get them to subscribe, I just don't think it. I just don't think Jinder was the right guy for that. So Battleground, just an awful pay-per-view. I'd agree with that. The Cena Rusev match, I could understand if some people thought that was an awful match as well. All right, Fastlane was another bad pay-per-view. This is the problem with bringing back Goldberg. And all those people that bitched about how Goldberg was underutilized in 2003, this is the way they wanted to see Goldberg used. See, this is what they wanted Goldberg to do to Jericho at Bad Blood 2003. Put him in like a squash match where it lasts 30 seconds. But, you're still going to get backlash. And a lot of people felt gypped at that main event. I thought Owens and Goldberg, I thought that would have been cool to see, even if it lasted 2 minutes. But, yeah, I don't even know why Goldberg came back. Does anyone know why they brought Goldberg back? Why didn't he stay in Japan? Or why didn't he stay at home with his 57 animals or whatever the hell he was doing? But no, seriously, I think Goldberg created some buzz at Survivor Series with Lesnar. It did create some buzz, but, I think he kind of overstayed his welcome. And once again, we got a Goldberg type of WrestleMania match. Give Brock credit for, making that match work. It was good for what it was, but, you just don't want to see Goldberg in that spot. So, I just hope Bill doesn't come back anytime soon. I think he's had a great career. It's just, to me, it just wasn't the right time to come back. Number 12, Clash of Champions. I'm going to go with Clash of Champions. So, yeah, AJ got a really good match at a Jinder Mahal in that main event. That was definitely the match of the night. Definitely best match Jinder has had. AJ winning the title. I got to give this credit to AJ too. He was the first guy to win the WWE Championship overseas. That's a huge deal. But really thought they made that was probably the booking decision of the year, to give AJ the title before Survivor Series, to put him up against Brock. Number 11, Great Balls of Fire. Wasn't a big fan of the pay-per-view. Like I said, the most disappointing main event of the year. Kind of a lackluster undercard as well. But, some of the non-wrestling fans are going to think that the Strowman Roman Reigns backstage segment made the pay-per-view great. But it is what it is. The next one, Money in the Bank. I really thought that was kind of had a Sunday Night SmackDown feel to it, but the men's Money in the Bank really delivered. Elimination Chamber. Anytime you book an Elimination Chamber, the undercard is always going to suffer, and that's what happened here. I thought you had really maybe too many women's matches on the show. I thought that kind of brought it down a little bit, but the Chamber did deliver. Extreme Rules, once again, you put a lot of the talent into the main event there. You're going to have a kind of a Raw-ish like undercard. TLC, I didn't talk about Kurt Angle's return. I thought Angle looked really good at TLC. It was kind of weird seeing him in this coming out with the Shield and wearing the Shield attire, but I like the way it was booked, man. I don't think the match was great. I wasn't a big fan of the 3-on-5 handicap stipulation. I thought the match as a whole, I thought it was a mess. But I thought Angle looked good, in the beginning and at the end. But I think the match as a whole, I just thought it was too much of a cluster mess. I really thought it was just all over the place. I just thought the teams were just kind of thrown together. The whole TLC pay-per-view, it was kind of cool how Roman Reigns and Wyatt getting sick kind of made the pay-per-view a lot more interesting and better. And you also got AJ Styles and Finn Balor, which was good. I wouldn't say it was great. It was cool, though. It was cool. It's not the way I wanted to see AJ Styles and Balor as a dream match, though. I thought that should have been saved for a bigger occasion instead of just a throwaway match just to get people to subscribe to the network. Number 6, I'm going to go with Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell started with a bang, ended with a bang. I thought both Hell in a Cells delivered, but there's no way a SmackDown pay-per-view should be 3.5 hours long. The Hell in a Cell with Shane and Owens was 40 minutes. It was crazy. this is just a case where the pay-per-view is a little bit too long and a little bit too boring. I really thought the middle of the show really dragged, and that kind of brought it down. Even though the Hell in a Cell matches were spectacular, two of the top 15 matches of the year. Number 5, I'm going to go with Payback. Payback was definitely the most consistent show of the year. You had a lot of good one-on-one matches here. You had Owens and Jericho. You had Neville and Austin Aries. You had Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, which was a better main event than expected. You had the Hardys taking on Sheamus and Cesaro. So you also had Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, which is underwhelming, but it was still solid. So you get my drift. You had a lot of quality one-on-one matches, which normally you didn't get throughout the whole year. So that's why Payback was one of the better pay-per-views of the year. Number 4, I'm going to go with No Mercy. No Mercy was a hot crowd, hot environment in the Staples Center in Los Angeles. You had a match. You had 2 matches that could have been WrestleMania worthy. I'm glad that they didn't happen at WrestleMania because I don't think they're good enough for WrestleMania. But for you to get 2 refreshing matchups on a pay-per-view, it definitely made it worth seeing, and definitely ended up being one of the better pay-per-views of the year. John Cena, Roman Reigns definitely had a good crowd. Actually, kind of a disappointing crowd. I was disappointed that Cena didn't get more respect then he got here. It definitely had some really good table bumps. But, I just wasn't a big fan of the mix of styles. With Reigns and Cena, they have the same style. So I thought it kind of made for a boring combination. Brock and Braun Strowman, I thought it was a good main event. I thought it was acceptable, but could have been a lot better. And overall, it was kind of a little bit on the shorter Brock Lesnar, more of a disappointing main event type of match. But overall, I thought No Mercy was good. I thought it was one of the better pay-per-views of the year. Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt was good. And the tag match between Rollins and Ambrose versus Cesaro and Sheamus was pretty awesome. And that was definitely probably the best match of the night from Los Angeles. Number 3, Survivor Series was great. The Survivor Series Raw vs. SmackDown theme, I thought it worked here. There's some mixed feelings on people kind of bitching about how they didn't like the Raw vs. SmackDown t-shirts. I kind of agree with that. But, Survivor Series had some must-see stuff. You had the Shield versus the New Day. That was a good match. You had Brock versus AJ. And then I thought the 5-on-5 Raw vs. SmackDown match was really star-studded. I really thought, you had a lot of great personalities. You had a lot of great combinations that you just hadn't seen in a while. Just the interactions between Angle and Triple H, and you had Cena and Orton out there. You had, Nakamura and Balor out there. John Cena, going at it with Kurt Angle again. Now, some people bitched about how Kurt Angle didn't look good in this match. To me, I kind of put more of the blame on Cena. Yeah, I give Angle credit because first match in a long time, he really worked with everyone in this match. He worked with Nakamura. He worked with, Cena. I thought Angle looked good, to be honest with you. It's just there was one stretch of the match where it looked like him and Cena were just trying to improvise out there. So I kind of put that more on Cena than Angle, but I love the tension between Triple H and Angle throughout the whole match. I really still want to see Triple H and Angle at WrestleMania. It was kind of, I don't think they knew how they wanted to end it. The ending of this match looks like they were going to go with Triple H versus Strowman at WrestleMania with, Strowman, looking dominant over Triple H after he being angry that Triple H turned on Angle. That was kind of weird. But, the match as a whole, I just thought it was star-studded. The booking at the end, it was kind of made Triple H look bad. But, a lot of people were kind of, baffled on how it ended. But overall, I thought Survivor Series was one of the better pay-per-views of the year. WrestleMania, number 2, I'm going to go with WrestleMania. WrestleMania got off to a great start. I just thought you had some, I thought WrestleMania was a quality show until you got up to Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. But, it was The Undertaker's last WrestleMania. You kind of want to put Undertaker's in-ring struggles and his injuries aside and just appreciate The Undertaker for everything he gave us. And I hope that's The Undertaker's last match because I just think the guy has nothing left. It was a weak main event, a weak title match between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. But if you look at the show on paper, I just thought a lot of this stuff was as good as it could have been on the undercard. And number 1, I got to give it to the Royal Rumble. You got the match of the year. You got 2 good title matches there. Everything on the Rumble was pretty much good. Even the Cruiserweight and the women's matches were fine for what they were. Royal Rumble was unpredictable. It wasn't a disaster that the last couple of years were. So, you know, I wasn't a big fan of Goldberg and Undertaker and all those guys coming out in the Rumble. But at the same time, they gave us an unpredictable winner. I don't think anyone expected Orton to win. And like I said, guys, the Rumble, 50,000 people, the Alamo Dome, 20 years since 1997. I thought it delivered. So Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series. Just looking at this list, the better pay-per-views of the year were the Raw and SmackDown combined pay-per-views. So there we go with that. That was 2017. You know, I thought you had a lot of, this wasn't one of my favorite years in WWE history. I would probably say it's one of the weaker years. I think it was kind of a boring year. I think AJ Styles winning the MVP. AJ had a great year. Owens had a great year. But besides that, I think they need a lot of guys to step up. I really think they do. I think the pay-per-views need to get better as a whole. The product just needs to get better. It just needs to get more interesting. But after the Royal Rumble this year, it looks like they're headed in the right direction. But we'll see what they do. That's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of the year, and I'll see you for the Elimination Chamber. Hopefully. All right.